It's 6:06. We will start May 28th regular Kennedale EDC meeting. Roll call. Jared is missing. Everybody else is present. We will start May 28th regular Kennedale EDC meeting. Item 2, regular session, reports and announcements. Financial reports to the EDC.
Good evening. This will be quick. It was just a normal month of operations for the EDC through the end of it, through April 1. Through April 30th, there were no land purchases, no land sales, just your basic, we got some rent and we spent some money type of month. So April's 58 1/3 throughout the year. Our sales tax revenues at 49.6 to the total budget. That's tracking with the city, of course. So where that's looking, last year we did have an overage. We were over budget on sales tax, and we're looking to have the same situation this current fiscal year. Again, like when you look at prior year sales tax receipts, it was 45.9% of receipts. So we're still tracking with just on that. Rental fees for the shopping center, 62% of the budget with 58% through the fiscal year. So that's tracking. EDC operations are at 67.5%. Again, that's inflated a little bit due to prior land sales. Our town center shopping expenditures are at 35.4%. A driver behind that specific number is just we haven't done certain renovations that were on the budget that were a pretty significant piece of that. So us being at 35% instead of closer to the 60 is due to that lack of expenditure. Our fund balance, again, that's just another item we're looking pretty good at. We have our year to date, we're showing at 571 days of fund balance. We're budgeted to have 478. So even though that number will come down a little bit as we get closer to the end of the fiscal year, we're still well ahead of pace on that. So with that, I'll entertain any questions that y'all have.
Hey, John, a quick question on the sales tax revenue. It says that the receipts from the state are 2 months delayed. So would we assume that 49.6% is probably closer to 55 or 60% based on the delay in the state payment? Okay. Yes,
yeah, we actually don't reconcile the end of the year until 2 months after it closes. At that point, and that's like last year, we discovered our overage. Our last 2 months of the fiscal year were significantly higher than what we anticipated. So throughout the year, we were just tracking on budget. Then we had a pretty big bump. So when I look at the trends this year, it's trending exactly the same as last year. So I'm expecting us to have an overage again. But yeah, if we were to go back, I guess a month from now at this point, since this is already essentially a month behind, yeah, we would be closer to that 60% mark.
Okay. And then would the 19.9 and the Christmas, the annual Christmas spend, does that bring that total budget number of 67.5 down closer to 50%? You know I don't know what the exact budget was for EDC operation expenditure.
Land purchases drove that high. That's the driver there, significantly more so than the Christmas event.
Yep, that makes, yeah.
Mr. Terry, you looked ready to ask me something.
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
I think I had asked you this before. I have a balance sheet from last year, and I was wondering what would it take to get the financial report in that kind of format again. It's really detailed like that.
Previously, you asked for a breakdown per building, and we cannot provide that.
Well, what about this one, though?
That just wasn't asked for previously. I can provide that if it's useful, but I hadn't been asked to do that in the past. But if you want that going forward, I can put that together.
Okay.
Would you like that?
Do you need to see this?
I know exactly what you're referring to.
Okay. It's a lot more detailed than this one. I mean, this one,
It depends on what you're looking at. If you're looking at operations, that's not more detailed than this.
Okay.
It's just not, because that's that's more like a trial balance where it has the balance sheet and the activity, where this is your P&L.
Okay.
So it's in that also, but that just has a lot more of the balance sheet items like the value of the land and
Yeah, I mean,
rent due, those type of items. But you can't get as good of a feel on the operations by just having that. This just breaks it down in a way that's easier to digest.
yeah, I understand, but you know, I'd like to see just the itemized stuff.
Yeah, if you want me to prepare that, I can. It hadn't been asked for in the past, but I'm happy to do that going forward.
John, for clarity, how long does it take to produce that report? 'Cause I'm guessing that's one of the manual ones.
Well, you see this with the council already, so like this one,
If you say it takes 4 man-hours to produce one report, let's make sure we really need that data if it's going to tie up a staff for half a day. So but if you say it's already done or it's 15 minutes and
oh, no, this is at least 2 hours. Because we don't get the data in this format, I have to
Marcia,
shoehorn
do we
it
need that
into this.
every month, or can we do that twice a year or something different?
Well, we were getting it that way.
We were,
Yeah, all the time, you know.
but if it takes more manpower, then it takes more man hours too.
Same man hours as it was before, right?
Different staff.
Different stuff.
I just want it to be, if it's useful, I'll prepare things that people look at. Where I get caught up is when the finance department is spending 4 hours plus on something that gets and that's it. But if someone's actually, if you guys really want to look at this and review it, we can prepare it every month.
I would be up for quarterly, biannually. I would like to see it, but I don't need it every month. I don't think there's that much fluctuation on a monthly basis, maybe quarterly at
Well,
best.
the balance sheet is only going to change really when we purchase land or when we sell land. Because the book value of like the property at the town center, the book value doesn't change, less depreciation, but like we're not doing any market analysis and we're not marking it up to market, for example. So the frequency is up to y'all. For me, the balance sheet doesn't change a lot.
Okay, what about quarterly? I mean, we're still talking about expenditures on that sheet though, right?
Well, you're getting expenditures monthly now.
Okay,
Most of that you get, whether it's expense, that's what you're getting, that's what you see. Majority of that is, those numbers are not changing like John's indicating.
okay.
When you're talking about our debt, it's already calculated on the sheet that you got now.
And you said something about the city council getting that report?
The city council gets
Yeah,
the same
they're
report I
getting-
provided you.
Okay.
This is actually page 8 of an 8-page document I provide to council.
Okay,
So I recycle it, I change
They're
the
not
header
getting
on it and move
that
on.
detailed of a report either. I mean, it's not to that extent. Now, obviously, if there's questions or anything like that, like last month, we done a quarterly finance for our investments, things of that nature. We do quarterly. I think that might be something that we can do for the EDC, that we do for the council. I think this
Okay,
would be
quarterly-
appropriate.
Quarterly would be fine.
Yeah.
Quarterly, John, be fine.
Just to confirm, no, you can talk to me like I'm not the brightest one in the room, but I do want to confirm, like, you want this report quarterly. Is that what we can all agree to that?
so will that be automatable once you get Tyler Technologies implemented? Just kind of preview things that come there for that new ERP?
Possibly. I'm looking at restructuring the funds the way we have them numbered now, so perhaps I could, by changing the numbers, it would be easier. In general, it will be easier because this is an Excel format and I don't get this out of STW. So just being able to pull data into Excel, I could do a VLOOKUP and pull these specific accounts and put it on this format. So just by the nature of Tyler, it'll be easier, but being fully automated, I can't answer that right now.
Just wondering if we waited for that, would that just save your staff some time? Because I'm sensitive to asking the staff to do reports that won't necessarily be helpful in driving decisions from a data standpoint. It might be interesting to look at and say, okay, we're spending this much money on office supplies or another level down from a reporting line item standpoint, but I don't know that we would use that data for moving forward decisions.
just to get down in the weeds since we're down there already, but this report, the activity, it all comes out of Fund 15, the EDC fund. So this is relatively quick to do. On the balance sheet, we have some items in 15, some in Fund 95, Fund 3, Fund 15 again, Fund 20. So that's where the additional time comes in, because we have to pull, like Fund 3 has things for several different, it's like a supporting fund. So we have to pull certain accounts from there. And that's why if I could get data into Excel, just get raw data, do a VLOOKUP for the accounts, I could create this probably in an hour or less. But right now I can't do that because STW pulls into Adobe and there's a lot of hard keying that goes into that.
Got it.
So I can do this quarterly if the board agrees that this would be a relevant document and would provide it would ease y'all's mind, I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, the spreadsheet you currently get that you have today is just a simpler version of what he's showing you. It's just broke down differently. It's not itemized like you're indicating. It's the same data. It's just you're seeing a number and you're not seeing the work detail of it.
But what I'm saying is it would be nice to occasionally
Yeah, we can do that.
itemize,
We can do that.
itemized.
I'll put this additional report on the same schedule as the quarterly financial report.
Okay.
So it won't be next month, but the month after. And I'll obviously have to modify the columns a little bit, but I'll make it work, and that'll be a quarterly report I do along with the investment report I provide to council.
All right.
The same thing for Mr. Glover's indicating. We have new software that's coming on board. And some of those spreadsheets you're wanting may be a little bit easier for us to generate. If you don't mind being patient with us, probably 3 months, maybe 4 months, we can definitely have the data for you. But if you'll just be patient with us as we're going through this new software, it might be beneficial for us.
Do we have any more questions? Thank you, John.
Sir, thank you.
Item B, discussion or request for clarifications on any items listed on the agenda. All right. C, consent agenda. Approval of the Economic Development Corporation minutes.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes.
All second.
All in favor? Unanimous. Item D, items for individual consideration or discussion. Item 1, update and discussion regarding the upcoming 2024-25 fiscal year EDC budget.
Last month, we had a pretty good discussion in reference to what we're looking for and as we move forward with the budget. Do y'all have any more discussion of what you're anticipating or wanting to accomplish as far as any goals or visions that you're seeing? June, we will be coming to a proposed budget that I would like to bring to you, at least a solid proposed. Obviously, we can still make adjustments. Last month, you guys were able to provide some good input. If you have any more that you have thought of over the last month, this would be a good time to express that to me. That way we can get it into the budget, particularly dealing with any, the financials of last month, it was about grants. If you have any more feedback, now would be a good time. If you want to increase it, decrease it, add, whatever that may be, I would like to have it into the budget and we can present it to you next month as a rough draft.
I did have a comment, as you drive, the initial long-term plan for Kennedale a decade plus ago, or maybe a decade really, had those signs that are throughout the city that basically have 3 different signs in one. Most of those are just empty. And I would say that could be something very easily that could be cleaned up for the city unless there is a reason to keep them there. they do say City of Kennedale, which is nice, but they're just big and there's nothing on it. So I don't know if there's any
You
thoughts
mean the
around
big
this.
metal signs on the corners?
Yeah.
They were put up by a builder.
Oh, were they really? Oh, okay.
One of the things that's currently in this budget is to be able to get some of those signs replaced and put more data onto them. For instance, 9/11 Memorial. I'm sorry, yeah, the 9/11 Memorial, so we can come and put a sign indicating, you know, an arrow, or put the town center, give direction of where some of the items that we have for display that currently needs direction on. We have several of them throughout the city, and we'll get some signs that we'll put in there. A couple of them that you're probably seeing there off of Eden Road, they have like the old K, which all that's going to be replaced.
Okay.
We're just having some issues finding some of that to get done. Also in the budget for this current year is for entry monuments. Obviously, right now, 3 of our locations that coming in the city are all within some type of construction. We currently have one on the south side at Eden and Kennedale Parkway, so I haven't really put any emphasis on that. I am looking for a very small monuments to put in some of our secondary entries into our city. I just haven't got any quotes on it, but some of the signs you're talking about should be done this year.
Yeah,
this budget.
just little things that we could do.
Absolutely.
And then I know we've talked about it previously, the bridge on Eden, the yellow bridge. Has there been any discussion regarding possibly even repairing what's there? Because currently there's rebar sticking out from it to just basically falling apart. So,
It is. We got several options that we're looking at as far as replacing it. Right now, was hoping we'll be able to do an addition to, but we're going to have to redo the whole bridge. We're not going to be able to add to it. It could be EDC funded, just to throw that out there real quick. But yes, it is a topic that we've been looking at, trying to get some numbers to do so.
have you gone far enough to have an idea of what something, because I don't have any idea what.
Right now, Eden Road is actually scheduled to be resurfaced. There's other factors that are preventing that currently, but that is a bond project.
Got it.
Any questions, any? Okay.
I'll add one more thing. This coming Hometown Christmas will be our 25th anniversary for Hometown Christmas. And I'm truly looking at having, obviously, a spectacular Hometown Christmas event for it. We have several corporations that honestly partner with the city currently. For instance, like Atmos, Waste Connections, those type of partnerships. We're looking for, obviously, some partners to help make the event even bigger. I am anticipating to ask for more funding for the Hometown Christmas. A couple of those, one will be adding lights. As you see in the Kennedale Town Center Plaza, we have lights that's going around the park. I want to add all of the municipal buildings to that as well, so they can all match. That is a pretty hefty bill to do that, but we're also looking for hopefully some more partnerships to help make that happen. But that will be one of the major expenses that you'll see that's coming around. So once you see the increase, that's the biggest topic. There's other things that we're wanting to add. Like this past year, we had the ice skating rink for say. We're looking for another item to bring in that will be just as popular and want to be involved. So if you have any suggestions what that item may be, I'm wide open for it. But the Hometown Christmas, you will see where I'll put more funding into that resource. Any suggestions? I'm open for anything. Obviously, Hometown Christmas is the city's largest event. Obviously, it's funded by EDC. It's something that it is a tremendous event for the town center as a whole. Last year, we averaged anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000 residents that came to it. With the 25th anniversary, obviously, we have already started working on that event itself. We're going to anticipate, or for me, obviously, I love to double it, but I do anticipate having at least another 1,000 people added to this event. And I truly believe it's going to be a great event, no matter what we end up doing. But I do want the town center and the EDC park to look exactly the way it needs to look. And obviously, last year, we made a big leap, and we were able to get some of the lighting and just photo ops, things like that added to it. I like to do the same thing as we move forward for the 25th anniversary. And I love to have our buildings matching our town center park.
Yeah, so I'm just, as I sit here and think of ideas, you know, you could do some type of tube sledding, you know, that they would have at the rodeo or something where, yeah, something like that.
They do have that.
Right, yeah, I was thinking maybe you could rent something, and then if you really wanted to, you know, do something crazy, you get a snow machine that's blowing snow, and then they go underneath it in the tube. I'm sure the kids would love that.
Absolutely.
I will say of note, I stood in that line for the rink a long time. So another attraction for all the kids to give them something to do would be good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. We will have a snow machine. We just don't know where we're going to put it yet. The ice sled or ice slide, we've looked into that as well. So there's several of them out.
How much does it cost? I wanted to bring in live reindeer as like a petting.
It's
No,
it's $900 per reindeer
per night?
per 2 hours.
We're in the wrong business.
Absolutely.
So if you guys suggest to buy a few reindeer, we can rent out before and after our event, we might be in a better position financially.
Are you going to take care of them, John? The other
Sure.
364 days a year. Just let them put them in the parks. Let them just graze there, and they kind of keep the little bit of natural mowers.
Yeah, right. We have a place to put them.
Unfortunately, I live outside of this jurisdiction, so I wouldn't be able to get Nathan to approve any kind of permitting for me on that.
It was a great idea. We tried it last year, but the 900 was a little steep at the time for last year's budget.
Well, on that topic, and I guess it's maybe off topic, but what was the budget last year for the Christmas? What was the EDC's portion of the hometown Christmas?
60,000.
And you're estimating to go up this year?
I would most likely ask for 75 to 80. And it will be in reference to some of the just addition to. One of the things that we ran into problem with the large crowd we had, we used all city facilities to host decorating for cookies and just making ornaments, things of that nature. We used the senior center, which was not big enough at all. We also used the community room for writing letters to Santa, was not big enough. Obviously, the skating ring area was not enough room as well. So one of the things that we'll end up doing this go around is getting a tent that will be able to host most of this activity and stay out of our municipal buildings. It puts a lot of wear and tear on those buildings, particularly dealing with our restrooms and just, for instance, like the community room, we have brand new carpet. It is no longer brand new by any stretch. So the expense of dealing with the tents, obviously, there's a huge expense for it. Those are some of the things, and obviously, we had the skating rink, and we're looking to have something to add on to that. One of the other things that we had last year, Lori Boyd provided a toy for each child that came up. That tradition I would like to continue to do. The toys are obviously the cost is very limited on it. But those things is what we're,
So thinking through coming last year, safety crossing the road from parking across the street, it's dark. I think we could do a better job of putting police cars in the middle of the street, parking them there, making a designated walkway. Obviously, as this expands out into the parking lots, parking is going to become tougher and tougher, pushing people across the street. I think, from my perspective, it would be beneficial if we had a formal walkway across, think the Ranger Stadium, Cowboys, where, you've got people blowing whistles, there's someone always there. There's never a chance for across the street without a police officer's assistance in some form or fashion. So I think that would be a really good idea. I don't know what that looks like. That might be more in your expertise, but I really think that would be a good idea.
and we have, one thing that we've already been in contact with TxDOT. They're the ones. So we can't put up signs or do anything without their approval. One thing we've been in contact with them to, I don't know if you noticed, on some of the other walkways, particularly at Dick Price, Bowman Springs, that's, I can't remember the actual style of walkway, but we're asking TxDOT to allow us to do the same thing here in the town center. We have a lot of traffic going back and forth, particularly with Delaney Elementary. They come over to Town Center Plaza all the time to play. So we're going to do that one way or another, either by TxDOT or the city itself, making that walkway more visible. Last year, we did have officers there for crossing. We utilized golf carts to help transport them going back and forth, and we'll have that same thing as we move forward.
Good.
Are you referring to like temporary lighting? Is that something that you were looking at, like having one of those light
Yeah.
posts that have a generator attached to
The
it?
problem is everybody's in black. And so the police officers, no fault of their own. And there are some lights, but with all the lights here that, from the Christmas lights and so on, especially on the buildings, you've got police officers with their lights on, there's a lot going on, and it's, obviously it's dark. People are maybe all walking to their car at the same time or different times. I just think if we had more lighting around the walkway, just to kind of say, hey, here's
Oh, you're talking about in the park?
no, out here on 287.
Oh, okay.
Just to give us, hey, we're on the sidewalk, where's the, for somebody that maybe doesn't come down very often, they can say, this light, it's very obvious, this is where the walkway is. I don't know what the solution is, but it was just kind of dark and hard to tell exactly where you needed to be.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. We did have a meeting in reference to things that we could do better, things that we've done great, and that was one of them. It was just the traffic as a whole.
Yeah.
On 287 Kennedale Parkway and inside the parking itself of the town center.
Has there been any thought on eliminating the parking inside of town center? At least?
Not really, not
Okay.
to a certain extent. Are you familiar where we have the
Yeah.
vendors at?
Yeah, they walked up and down, yeah.
Yeah, so we're probably looking at doing the same thing this coming year, at least leaving that open to have a little bit better. We had it the same way last year. We had a vendor or some vendors in there. I don't know if we'll go much beyond that. Some of it may be in reference to what Mr. Hughes is going to be giving us here shortly. But yeah, it's been a possibility that we looked at. The only thing is, we do that, we're losing roughly 200 parking spots.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a huge challenge.
Yeah, I just, if it's 1,000 people coming, in addition to last year, you've got to assume that's 250 cars at a minimum. It's just a lot of traffic around all these people walking around at,
Yeah.
just, just
And
something
that's
else.
one of the reasons why we were looking at getting a better crossway in front of the town center.
Yeah.
Particularly so we can use the school district parking is one of the reasons.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, item 2, update regarding the Kennedale Town Center. Evening, Craig.
Awesome. On the lease for Dollar General, with the land, are you needing anything from the EDC, to help that go through? Are you talking about mainly like truck traffic for their deliveries? Is that? Okay. And did you send that with the lease agreement? Is that?
Just to be clear on that, that they're simply wanting to use it. They're not wanting us to alter the entryways. Okay.
If you can send the documents to me, we'll make sure we get it on the agenda for next month. Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, same thing for the ground lease. We'll get it on the next agenda and get it approved.
Mr. Hughes, how long will the new lease duration or term be for in the new Dollar General building? Is that a 7-year lease? So speaking of rates, when they do move in, they're getting a brand new building. Percentage-wise, how much more will their rate go up? Yes, sir. How much? More than double. Okay. Okay. And there's nothing in the lease around them having the ability to buy the building or anything like that? All right, thank you.
I want to go back to Lot 3. I do remember the presentation. It was a great presentation. I do agree with the outside seating. We talked a little bit about that. I think there was a brief mention of a Mexican food restaurant of some kind had interest. I wasn't here when you maybe presented previously. Unfortunately, I missed that meeting. You made a comment that obviously once you get past completion date in February, you'd start on Lot 3 with that building that we had seen just a quick snippet of. Did I hear you correctly that you're going to wait till you get 50% leasing before you break ground on that property? Is that what I heard? That'd be great.
So Craig, the 45 days you mentioned earlier, was that in reference to the Dollar General or the restaurant? Yeah. Oh, that was with the Dollar General, okay.
I do have a question on that 7-month extension. Are you going to escalate the rent in any kind there? Yeah, I wouldn't even dare ask for 10%, but, 2% seems pretty reasonable. I'm assuming that in the new lease agreement, it's somewhere in the range of 2 to 3% rent escalators as well. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, they're big. Correct.
One last question regarding the restaurant thing. You said it's going to be outdoor, sit down with a patio. Do you know what type of restaurant it will be? Whether seafood?
I got one quick question. You said the construction would start in about 45 days on the Dollar General. You also stated they have basically a no move in November and December. How long do you think it's going to take for them to get this building built? All right, thank you. Okay, thank you.
No other questions for Craig? Well, thank you. Item number 3, discussion regarding the Town Center Park Fountain.
I wanted to see if I can get some feedback in reference to how we move forward with the town center fountain. Our current budget, we're budget 85,000. The idea of the 85,000 was to replace the fountain itself. As we've moved forward, the city council created a committee to look at the fountain and see how we wanted to move forward on replacing it, or whatever the future of that plaza look like. We're somewhat in a standstill. We hired MMA as a consultant to come in and give us an overview of what the park needs are. Obviously, we've had some flooding issues, some drainage issues. Our memorial itself, or the Veterans Memorial. The fountain, the first thought was, it has not been operating for years prior to today, and we wanted to get the fountain working in great order. So the current budget was to replace it. The committee has come up with other ideas of how we can improve Town Center Plaza. Part of it was moving the memorial to the front of the plaza where you enter, which will be a separate budget by itself to get that created and be able to move forward with it. The MMA consultant was to come in and help us get the town center where we're wanting to be within where the fountain is. So currently, the plan was to get rid of the fountain and come in and basically make it a green space. I would like to move forward with that same concept and remove the fountain, get the memorial moved or removed as well, where we have the nameplates that are in place. Currently, I do not think it represents the memorial in a positive manner. I would like to replace it, either move it or have a different view of what that looks like. We have some of the plates that are broken. It just doesn't look professional at all. And I'd like to start that project and move forward on making it look better for our veterans. And I just want to get your feedback on that and how I can move forward on accomplishing that goal.
So are you looking for ideas on maybe where to move it to, or actual structures themselves?
Well, most likely removing the fountain itself. Like I said, we hired MMA to be able to help us with that vision. I don't want it to continue to sit there. We have Veterans Day that's coming up in November, and I just don't think it looks appropriate for us to have that in that shape. And I would like to do something further than what we have done. I just want feedback from you guys how we can go about doing that. Obviously, the city council has made the committee. The committee is, in a sense, has completed their goals on what that should look like. And that's MMA, that's part of what they'll be able to do as well, is help us build the second part, which is the memorial itself. Right now, we're kind of stuck in between the consultant and, in a sense, maybe even moving forward. And I would like to be able to sit down with MMA and say, hey, this is direction we want to go. Can we move the fountain, or can we move the memorial? And if you guys are okay with that, I would at least like to get that accomplished, although they're continuing to help on drainage and other issues within the plaza itself. But I would like to move forward and at least get the fountain and the memorial moved. We have events that's coming up, obviously, as we go into September, October, and November for our hometown Christmas. And I at least like to get that where it's not under construction. There's no interference with anything with our events coming up inside the town center.
I mean, I like the idea of creating green space there. It could absolutely be used during the events. The question is, where do you move those memorials?
So that was part of the design though, right? That MMA kind of initially proposed was moving it on the other side of the walkway across from the 9/11 memorial. So they have their own spot.
Yeah, about the
Rather than
flower,
some-
our butterfly garden.
Where the butterfly garden is now, and remove that. So I thought we said before, it would be 3 stages. Remove the fountain now, re-landscape it to fix the drainage issues, but not do stage 3, which was actually rebuilding the memorial. That was
That's
gonna be
correct.
the part that took more funding, need more time.
Right. that's
We don't have the funding, I think, for stage 1 and stage 2-ish.
Well, and I think that's where I'm looking for clarity on. Phase 1, in a sense, was remove what we have. Then also, phase 2 is more moving the butterfly garden somewhere else. But it didn't, and MMA I haven't got a final report in the sense of some of the things they're needing to do. I just don't want to go into our events in the next 3 to 4 months and I'm under construction with it. The drainage is the only thing that I know of is another major issue other than removing the fountain itself.
Yeah, but you can't remove the fountain and not fix the drainage because you're going to have this massive hole there anyway. That's going to be dealt with from a landscaping and irrigation
Right.
standpoint. And I talked to KBB about the drainage. You can see it needs some attention. So are we still just in a holding pattern until we get that report back from everybody?
Well, we're budgeted 85,000. MMA is roughly, I think it's around 17,000. So we still have roughly 60,000 to play with. Either we kind of hold off for MMA maybe to come in and do some of the work through their contractors, or we can come in and find our own contractor per se and just remove that. I was just looking for feedback, what you guys may want to do. MMA doesn't necessarily do the construction side of it. It's more, obviously, the consulting of, what it'll look like.
I was wondering if we really needed a fountain, and just, if we're gonna remove a fountain, are there other options other than a fountain?
Actually, John, do you want to step up and maybe you can help me out on, John was on the committee as well. I wasn't on there. Maybe he can give us a little feedback on exactly what the committee was.
So the general idea was to remove the fountain and replace that with some type of concrete stone with an image. The image that was coming to mind was a compass, to have that be a compass. But to Daryl's point with the green space, we would, except for the hometown Christmas where the tree will be in the center of the park, generally speaking, that could be open. So if we have a concert, that's additional space that can be used. There won't be an obstruction blocking the stage from this end of the plaza, the town center plaza. The memorial would be kind of opposite where the 9/11 memorial is up in the front, and those flagpoles that are by the fountain right now would get moved up by the clock tower. So it would free up the center of that park completely. In order to accommodate the memorial being opposite of the 9/11, the butterfly garden would move really close to this entrance or exit, however you want to look at it, but the door that's on this side of City Hall to my right, it would be in that area. That would allow for enough space to have the memorial up closer to the police department at the front of the park. And the concept in moving it was to have a place of reverence where people, if they're missing their family member, you can sit there and it's quiet and you can have that respectful moment. Whereas now we have people running and jumping on the memorial. It's cracked. It looks like the math wasn't necessarily on point when we're looking at the size of the tile versus the concrete pad. So I'm sorry, it looks like you want
Oh,
to.
I was gonna ask, okay, with that idea, will we still have, the plaques or replace the plaques with new plaques?
The idea from the committee was to take the current plaques and deliver them to the families. And when the new memorial comes up, it would be completely new. The design, the prevailing design was to have a wall or a surface that could be etched. So a name would be etched on there. So we would eliminate the need to have these individual plaques all together. There are plenty of examples of this. If you go to Forest Hill and look at their memorial, the names are etched on the stone. Crowley is the same way, where once a year at a certain interval, they have an artist come in and they'll etch the names on there. So that's an overview of the main ideas. As far as the Veterans Memorial piece, there was a discussion about creating a nonprofit, a 501c that could go out and obtain funding outside of the city for the specific memorial. But it's all in phases. We have to remove what we have before we can look at building what's new. But yeah, the plaques as they are now would go back to the families, and then we would start with something completely fresh.
And was there a cost estimated for that plan?
We didn't quite get there yet because, for one, we really don't have a design. We had, it's like a waterfall without a pool where water just runs along a vertical surface, then goes to some rocks and then recycles. There were a lot of different design ideas, but we didn't settle on a specific design. We got really tied into the idea of what's going to be in the center. And how would we fund that before because we have to get phase 1 and 2 funded before we could go on to phase 3. And depending on how long that takes, those construction costs, an estimate now could be irrelevant by the time we'd actually break ground.
So not the, everybody wants it done all at the same time, obviously. I think we all agree, and we all agree that we need it. I think there's going to be some pain in the process of not having it, and I think we just need to say, we need to remove it, we need to get the drainage done. We're going to, and tell the city and the veterans and everyone that enjoy it, it's coming, but we just only have so many resources. I think if we don't make that decision and just go ahead and say, we're going to do it, we've planned for it, we're in the design phases, whatever that looks like, but I think we have to just say, remove it and get the drainage fixed.
We did have a volunteer within the committee that, at the time, of course, we'd have to follow back up on this, but was willing to create a pedestal for the eagle that's currently in the center of the fountain. And that would go at the position of the future memorial over by the police department. And then we could put signage at that point, but we would have something there and just memorial coming. But that way it's not a blank space. Like people can go up and they can see an eagle. It's a patriotic symbol. And of course the pedestal would be high quality. And once the monument goes in, we would either integrate the eagle in some way as it is or build a new stand for it. But it wouldn't just disappear and be gone. Like, we would still have something that would be a symbol of patriotism in the park.
That's a great solution. Temporary solution. I think that's great.
I was thinking about a temporary solution. Instead of putting it over there in the butterfly garden, why couldn't we put the eagle in the clock tower just for a temporary? That way when you walk in, you'll have the eagle, and then we can put 2 flags right there. If we're going to move everything, basically, if we're going to move the fountain, we're going to move the concrete slabs that the plaques sit on now, we can move the flags up, put the eagle in, and then make a temporary sign, future development of the Veterans Memorial.
At the time, just one of the members of the committee stepped up and volunteered to create a pedestal, and we thought, well, it'd be great to have a symbol where the memorial's going to be. But as far as where the eagle goes, as long as it's in the park, I think that's the most important piece.
Well, I'm looking at it as it's 3 phases. So phase 1 is remove. Phase 2 is the butterfly garden. Well, if we don't have funding to do phase 3, there's no reason to move the butterfly garden. So if we just take the eagle, put it in the clock tower, and we can make a base for it, that would be a good spot. Bring the flags and put it. There's 2 concrete slabs over there. So all we got to do is anchor that, use the existing flags. So you'll have flags coming into the park with the 9/11 on the right-hand side, an eagle in the center, and then the center of the park will just be open, except for Christmas time when we put the tree in. And then that way, when we do secure funding for the Veterans Memorial, then we can either repurpose that eagle over there or come in with something better.
Oh, I'm just reporting on what the committee stated. That just never came up. So whatever we have the money for, as long as the monument goes up at some point, I'm good.
Well, my deal is, it's either we're going to use the fountain or not use the fountain. It's been sitting empty for a year and 2 months now. It doesn't hold water. If we remove the fountain, remove the Killed in Action and the veterans deal, and then return those plaques to the family members and let them know that, hey, you know, we got your name on the list, that we're going to build something better. Just removing that stuff is going to fix a lot of the drainage problem that we have, because everything comes in from the police department and that acts as a strainer and slows all the water down. But if you have open surface, it's just going to keep flowing through. So,
In my opinion, for the final state, we are getting the cart ahead of the horse, but I wouldn't want to see any more plumbing in the new design. It just seems like a maintenance nightmare. Anything with water is going to freeze, have problems, have to be maintained. I'd rather it be easier, something that'll last a long time, not become a maintenance headache. So did we get to give you what you need, Darrell?
Did we actually help?
We're gonna take the fountain out, move the eagle to, are we gonna do it in the top of the clock tower or down low? It'd be cool up top too.
inside, I was thinking inside, because we've got the 4 columns.
Let it hang out in there.
Just sit in it. And then, like I said, we can either get a piece of sandstone or something like that, mount the eagle to it, and just set it in there. And then that way, all we got to do is just pick it up and move it out. We're not pouring concrete, but just, you know, a slab to put it on. And we can probably take the marble that it's on right now and pull that piece of marble off and just put it right there in the center of the clock tower.
You need to go out and get some bids to remove the fountain.
Well, there was,
So you're going to do it for free. That's cool.
well, the committee did talk about repurposing some of the brick, because that wouldn't be, I mean, maybe it would be part of the design, because the design we came up with was a compass, which I understand isn't too popular outside of the committee, but the idea would be to repurpose what we can. So, you know, if Mayor Pro Tem wanted to bring a tractor, just, you know, be ginger with it.
I prefer to get
And a chisel
construction.
and a hammer. Insurance would be a lot less if you hired somebody. Not going to. That's why I asked if you need to start looking in some bids to get it cleaned up.
Well, you know, this is great information. As we move forward, if we roughly have 60,000 beyond, going beyond the 60,000, obviously I'll bring that to your attention and to see where we're going, or how much that additional funding would be. But I will at least get the fountain area cleaned up and get it prepared so we can have the drainage things corrected. MMA, they are currently working on it. A lot of it's the engineering side of it. I just want to move forward. There's been a lot of discussion that's been taking place, particularly in the last couple of months. And I just want to get clarity from you guys that you're still good to go with the current plan, with the committee itself, obviously using their information, their feedback, and we'll move forward with that.
Okay. Any questions or discussions left? Everything answered? All right. Executive session, sir? It is 7:12. We will enter into executive session pursuant into 551.087 deliberation regarding commercial or financial information that the governmental body has received from a business prospect that the governmental body seeks to have, locate, stay, or expand in or near the territory of the governmental body and which the government body is conducting economic development negotiations, or to deliberate the offer of a financial or other incentives to a business prospect described as subdivision 2005 Kennedale Parkway. I remember. All right. It is 7:52. We'll reconvene from executive session into open session. We have a motion for the city manager to enter into contract negotiations with Payco Southwest Realty.
I second the motion.
All in favor? Thank you. Unanimous. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
I make a motion for adjournment.
I'll second.
All in favor? Thank you.